Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing really well. My name is Daniel and today we're going to be having a look at the Corona decal. In today's lesson, I'm going to be giving you a demonstration of how I transformed this bathroom into an insane asylum bathroom using Quixel Bridge and megascans. So let's get into it. Before we start, I'm just going to take you into another scene to explain some of the settings that we have inside of the Corona decal. And then after, we're going to come back to this scene and I'm going to give you a demonstration of how we can transform this scene into something completely different. Okay, let's go. So here we are inside of our second scene and we are going to create the Corona decal in our top viewport. So we're going to come to this bed over here and we're going to come to geometry, go to the drop down menu and click on Corona. Over here you have the C decal, which stands for Corona decal. You just click on that and we're going to drag it over our bed. So you can see it appearing in the right hand viewport and we are going to move it up just to cover our bed. So now it's intersecting the floor, the carpet and the bed. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to just start our interactive renderer and wait for that. Okay, so we can see that that's rendering really nicely and we are going to come to the settings for our Corona decal. On the right hand side you can see over here we have a few different settings and right at the top obviously we have on off, so this just switches the effect on and off. Next, what we are going to do is we're going to open our material editor, select our decal, and we have a few different options over here. Before we get into exclude objects, I'm just going to apply something over here. So we are going to go from material, for example. So we're going to take this material that is metal over here and we are going to apply it directly to our Corona decal. Okay, so now we're going to wait and see what effect that has. So now you can see that that's actually created a metal effect on top of our bed. If we just zoom in a little bit on that, okay, I think our camera has got a little bit of clipping on it, so we're just going to remove the camera clipping from our current camera and disable that. There we go. And now we have a better view of the effect. Okay, there we go. So that's looking pretty good. As you can see, everything that's inside of the box is affected by the Corona decal. Next thing that we can do is you could select your decal and we are going to come down to map over here. So this essentially adds a opacity map into your material. So for example, if we added this checker map on top there, everything that is white will show and everything that is black will be masked out. And if we click on from map, to just wait for the effect. So you can see now that it's being affected with this map, but there's an easier way to do that, and it's just to go back to material, and inside of your material you can go to opacity. So if you go to checker once more, it's going to give us exactly the same result. There we go. And then you can adjust your tiling, for example, and it will give you like a checker pattern on top of our bed. Okay, so that's looking really good. But why don't we add a different pattern that's a little bit more interesting? So we go clear that and we're going to add a bitmap into our slot, and let's choose a different pattern. So I think, yeah, I think this one looks quite interesting. So we'll use this one for the moment. So this is the kind of thing you could use for logos on pillows or any types of insignia, or just to add a little bit more interest into your scene. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just zoom in a little bit further, and we will actually exclude something. So what we can do now is we can click exclude object, and over here you can choose whichever object you'd like to exclude, add it into the right hand box, and the Corona decal will not affect that object. So we'll cancel that for the moment, and you can also click on the plus icon and select something. So you can do it that way also, and we should see the result inside of our interactive renderer. So now we have selected this object, which is part of the bed, and it is excluded. So we'll press Ctrl Z to undo that. And now we have nothing inside of our exclude object, so everything is being affected. Next, over here, we have quite a cool setting. Basically, on our bed and on our material, there are bump and displacement settings. So you can see that the linen has got a bump to it. But our material that is applied to the Corona decal is a metal material, so it's smooth. So when you have all of these things ticked, replace, basically you're replacing the bump of the bed with the bump of our material that is applied to the Corona decal. Our Corona decal material is smooth, so we're not seeing any bump on top of our metal parts. But if we have to remove all of these, for example, and not replace the bump that's on the bed, it's going to take the displacement and the bump from the material that's applied to the bed. So if we zoom in really close to the linen, our material should have the same bump that is applied to the linen. And I'm just going to remove the depth of field from our camera so it's a bit more obvious. Okay, so you can see that essentially our material is taking the form of the linen, and you can see each strand being deformed. So we can see that the bump is being taken from the bed. So once again, if we just select our decal and now replace it, it will be a smooth metal on top of that because it's being replaced. So now you can see it's not taking the shape of the linen, and it's a smooth material. It's not that easy to see here because you'd have to render it out. You have to render it out at a higher resolution, but you can see that it's smooth compared to the previous option. Okay, so that's looking good. We understand everything, and we can zoom out back into this. So now what we can do is we can go to our next option. So we have our Corona decal selected. Over here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can just adjust the size of your decal in terms of width, and you can adjust the height over here, which is the breadth, but it's nothing special. Okay, and then you can fit to bitmap. So whatever the texture size that is selected for your material is, you can click on fit to bitmap, and that will change the size of your decal. So for example, if this is the image that you're using, you can take that and it will rescale the Corona decal to that dimension, as you can see over there. Max angle limit is quite interesting as well. So if we come back here, and over at the moment it's set to 180, so it's covering everything. So it's covering the top part of the bed over here, and it's starting to wrap around going to the bottom part of this cover over here. You can see it's turning and going almost like underneath the bed. So the lower you drop this, the less of this effect you'll have that goes down underneath the bed. It will essentially just stop on the edges. So if we go to, say, for example, 20, it's only going to be at the top over here. There we go. So you can see when it's projecting down, it has a limit of 20 degrees. So it's projecting just straight down. If you go to 1, for example, it will only be projecting on things that are exactly parallel with the top of this decal. Okay, max angle blur. So if we go to 90, or say, it's probably going to need a bit more. So let's go to, say, 130. It will start to actually blur between the material on the bed and the decal, depending on the angle. So it will start to get more of the material from the bed at the bottom, and the more it goes into parallel with the decal, the more it will become more metallic. So if we drop that to, say, 90 once more, you should see it a little bit better. It will blur between both materials. There you go. You can see the difference in the intensity. Okay, and max angle blur. And then this essentially, if you add your material on top of your decal, this just shows that it's applied on top. And this pivot offset is just an adjustment of where your pivot is sitting in relation to your box over there. Okay, so now we're going to jump back into our bathroom scene, and I'm going to just show you how you can use Quixel Bridge and megascans. Okay, so here we are inside of our bathroom scene. One thing that you have to keep in mind when using Quixel and when using Quixel Bridge is that I'm using max 2020 because at the moment Quixel Bridge does not support import from megascans directly into max 2023. It doesn't work. I've tried it. I know that they're working on it, but they seem to be dragging their feet a little bit. So okay, so it's the same process. What we can do is we can go to top view, and we're going to drag out our Corona decal. I'll drag it out over here, for example. Looking okay. And you know what? I'll just put it on the side for the moment so we can see it better. Okay, here we have it. And now we're going to jump into Quixel Bridge. Okay, and we're going to say, for example, blood. And we have decals over here. We're going to take this hand as an example. And we are going to, well, first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to actually need to download it. So you're going to click download. I've already downloaded this one previously, so I don't need to download it, but you'll just click download over here. And then you'll select your decal and you'll choose your settings, 8K, and click export. And what we'll do is just make sure that our decal is actually selected. And click export one more time. There we go. And you can see that the decal has appeared on our Corona decal box. Now what you can do is you can go into the settings and you can adjust the size to whichever size works for you. You can also check inside of Bridge. Just closed it. There we go. And when you download something, it will actually show you the correct size. So if we click on our hand, it's going to show you that this correct size is 0.25 times 0.25 meters, so 25 centimeters. Okay, so I'm working in millimeters, so that will be 250 by 250. Okay. Next thing what we can do is we can move this inside of our scene. We can rotate it. And we'll make it intersect the wall. There we go. Make it a little bit straighter. You should usually have your angle snap on, and that will make your life a lot easier. But I didn't have it switched on, so I'll just eyeball it over there. And we jump back into our camera, and we're going to have a test render of that. So as you can see over here, we're getting our decal on the wall, and it's looking pretty cool. You can also add a bump map inside of this material to get a little bit of bump on top of the blood. And you can also use displacement to displace it a little bit. Okay, so essentially that's all the settings for the V-Ray decal. And now I'm going to actually show you a demonstration of how I transform this scene into an insane asylum. Okay, here we go.